Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to walk you through some of the main diet and detox mistakes that the vast majority of people make when they are engaging in any diet or lifestyle change. And this is absolutely more prominent when, especially particularly around January period, which is the biggest time of the year for diets and detoxes. And the reason being is because most people have overindulged in January during over the Christmas period, and they want to relieve their guilt and think they are moving forward into a more healthier new year. Which leads me on to my first slide. The reason that one of the biggest mistakes people make is doing it all for the wrong reasons. So they're either doing it to relieve their own guilt and make themselves feel better about their own bad habits, or they are doing it from a body image perspective. Both of those reasons are completely the wrong reasons to engage in any diet or lifestyle change. You should only be engaging in anything unless it is first and foremost from a health perspective, and a long-term health perspective as well. Don't look at this from a short-term thing, and don't think that just because you feel better about yourself in a month's time, that you can revert back to your old ways, because otherwise you've not achieved anything. All you've done is relieved your own sense of guilt and satisfied yourself. You've not satisfied the body, you've just satisfied yourself mentally. So it's really, really important to engage in it for all the right reasons. It must be for from a health perspective first and foremost, and anything else must come secondary. So if you're doing it from a fat loss perspective, if you look at it from a health perspective first and foremost, and you're open to looking at the bigger picture, then I promise you, so long as you are completing that health jigsaw, which is what I teach people inside my program, fat loss will come naturally. And you will not be engaging in any diets. All you will be doing is providing the body with the right conditions to work with, so it can function efficiently, and everything else will come naturally. Okay, so the next mistake people make is that they lack consistency, and that's primarily down to the fact that they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. So as soon as they've relieved their inner sense of guilt, so to speak, they kind of we revert back to old ways, and what they'll tell themselves is that they've done I've withdrawn from that bad habit for a period of time. I've done some good, and they'll reassure themselves that they've something that they've achieved something, so to speak. And you've actually, in terms of the body internally, yes, you've achieved something. You've satisfied your own self, yourself mentally, but in terms of the body, you've not satisfied the body whatsoever, because all you've done is, by withdrawing from a something the body's dependent on, you've triggered the body to develop a fresh new awareness of all the devastation that bad habit has brought about over the years, that the body hasn't been in a position to deal with, or not chosen to deal with, because it just can't, because you're always bombarding it with the same problem. And what that does is it raises the body's stress levels, so it raises your cortisol levels, and that contributes to oxidative stress. And this is one of the reasons why inside my program I actually make a lot of emphasis on not tackling too many things all in one go, particularly around lifestyle issues, because they're the things that the body can develop and the greatest dependency to. So you don't want to tackle too many all in one go, because you don't want to raise those cortisol levels too high, because the body will only deal with one thing all in one go at one time anyway, but it's still developing a fresh new awareness that you've withdrawn from lots of things. So you don't want to raise the cortisol levels too high, because what you're doing is, by raising your cortisol levels, all you're doing is one source of damage is just cancelling out another one. So yes, you've withdrawn the habit that's caused the damage in the first place, but because the body's having to deal with that damage that's come about, it's getting stressed, raising your cortisol levels, and that in turn is causing cell damage through oxidation. So you may now be thinking, well, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. No, because your bad habit there's no positive outcome. No good comes from it at the end of it. Whereas because you've withdrawn and you're putting the body through this process to rectify the problem that's come about, it's getting stressed for a reason. So it's getting stressed with a positive outcome at the end of it. So it's short-term pain for long-term gain. And that's the exact reason why I say the body hates flash in the pan gestures. Because if you then force it to raise the cortisol levels, contribute to oxidative stress, to have no positive outcome at the end of it, well, that doesn't go down very well at all with the body. And you don't achieve anything. So the key thing to remember is, unless you intend to stick it out, and that means battling through. It's not easy withdrawing from things, particularly when you've got a dependency to them. It's not easy. It can get tough, and that's what can cause people to give in to the mental and physical overwhelm that they're experiencing, and just revert back to their old ways. And they've achieved absolutely nothing. So it's all very well and good you saying to yourself, oh, but I've done a week's worth, or I've done a month's worth, or however long it may be, and think you've achieved something. You've not achieved anything other than satisfied yourself mentally. That's all you've done. So you've actually achieved nothing in terms of your health, your current and your long-term health. So consistency is vital. So unless you intend it to be consistent, stay well alone. Just leave things as they are. Okay. The next mistake people make is that they hold out. It doesn't matter whether it's fat loss, detox, or whether they've been diagnosed with a health condition. They will hold out for dear life for a quick fix or a magic pill. And there is no such thing as a magic pill or a quick fix to any single one of those problems. First of all, detox is not something you can decide to initiate. You can make changes to your diet and lifestyle that can improve that process, but you can't wake up tomorrow and say, oh, I know, I'm going to detox my body now. No, you don't decide when you detox your body. If you didn't detox, if your body did not detox itself for you, then we'd die. We wouldn't sustain life. It was just that simple. So I do encourage you to go and watch. If you haven't watched my fat loss video or my detox video, I encourage you to go and watch those, because what that'll do is that'll just throw some light on what exactly detox is, what the true definition is of it is, and what the process is. And you'll understand why I say to you, there is no quick fix. There's no pill out there, whether it says detox supplement or detox tea or detox whatever. It can't detox you. Even detox juicing programs do not detox you. So if you go and watch that video, you'll understand why I'm saying there is no such thing as a quick fix. And again, if you watch the fat loss tips, you'll understand what makes up the formula to achieve successful fat loss, and why, again, there is no quick fix. There is no pill out there that will suddenly melt away the fat. And for those of people who are sitting here watching this video thinking, well, that's a lie because I've got results and I just took a pill, you've got them by fluke. But just because you've lost physically the physical visual inches, that doesn't mean to say that the body is functioning healthily. That doesn't mean to say that your organs are not surrounded by layers of fat, which is hindering how well your organs are functioning. So there's a difference between having fat on the outside and having fat internally. There's lots of people who are very, very slim and they have a very, very bad lifestyle, a very, very bad diet. And just because they are slim, they are more than likely very, very fat on the inside. So this is why it's very important to look at it from a health perspective first and foremost, and understand what makes up that bigger picture, and tackle that as best you possibly can. Okay. The next mistake is that people don't provide the body with a balanced diet. So you notice this more when people are engaging in programs which involve shakes and supplement pills, or they are just doing juicing detoxes or juicing diets. They're not mindful of giving the body needs every day carbs, protein, vitamins, minerals, and they're just the basics. If we go one step further, it also needs every day the omega fatty acid, particularly the EPA element, DHA for cognitive function, and ALA, which is from the plant sources. And then if we go deeper again, it needs the plant enzymes. And so there's lots of things that the body needs on a daily basis that people aren't giving the body every single day. And even if we just refer to the basics, the proteins, the carbs, and the vitamins and minerals, the body needs every single vitamin and mineral on a regular basis. There's some vitamins that the body gets saturated through the body really, really quickly, and they need those replenishing religiously every single day. And if those aren't replenished every single day, that is going to affect certain things within the body, particularly energy levels. The other thing that is again a bit more complex in terms of even the basics is, depending on your goal and depending on your activity levels, will depend on how much protein the body needs to achieve that goal without compromising the body, and how much carbs the body needs, again, relative to your goal and relative to your activity levels, without compromising the body. So again, you're only going to gain that knowledge by learning it. So even if you are giving the body everything it needs, it might not be in the right quantities to achieve the goal that you want. Okay. Next mistake is stop following plans. Okay, you don't need to follow a plan, you just need to learn how to make better choices. You should be able to open up any recipe book, look at any recipe on, I don't know, a cooking show or anything like that, and know exactly, you should be able to look at any ingredient in that recipe. You should be able to go out for dinner, look at the menu and say, well, okay, well, that's in the list of no-nos for achieving fat loss. So what can I switch it to? And you should be able to look through the menu. And this is what I do. I look through the menu and I say, well, okay, well, they've got, for example, let's say they've got sweet potatoes on another dish. I will ask them to switch it for sweet potatoes for this thing that I can't have that's on this particular dish. And, you need to be able to have that skill. Set meal plans do not cater to intolerances. I had this problem with a client actually who she was wanting meals delivered to her door on a set meal plan basis. Now, although the meal planning process, the meal prepping process was good in theory, it didn't cater to her specific intolerances. And it didn't cater to her specific goal. So again, I had to coordinate with the chef who did these meal plannings and get him to cater it to her particular intolerances. So again, unless you know what your intolerances are, you could think you're following the rules in terms of, the do's and the don'ts, but you may still be contributing to inflammation internally. So unless you know that, you know what your personal do's and don'ts are, and what your personal restrictions are, and what your personal deficiencies are as well. So again, that's something else you need to bear in mind, because if you are particularly deficient in a certain thing, because maybe you've got a lifestyle factor that is affecting the body's levels in a certain vitamin or mineral. Again, these are all things that you need to bear in mind, and that's something a plan will not give you. A plan won't give you that. You need to learn it and understand it, and gain that knowledge to be able to work with it. But yeah, I mean, even the basics, you should be able to open up any recipe book and be able to cater it to your needs and each one of your family's needs, because this is a thing that you need to bear in mind as well. What is okay for you may not be okay for your daughter or your son or your husband, or another family member. It may not be okay for them. Just because it's okay for you doesn't mean it's okay for everybody else, and that's why you need to be armed with the right knowledge. The next mistake people make is not being aware of causing mental and physical overwhelm. Now, I touched on this in the consistency slide slightly. So when you withdraw from too many things all in one go, and you're causing the body to have a fresh new awareness of lots and lots of issues, that's going to raise your cortisol levels so high that you're going to become mentally and physically overwhelmed. And that's going to do two things. That's going to do not only just compromise the body, and it can, I mean, in some instances with things like alcohol, if you are consuming high volumes of alcohol, so let's say you have a serious alcohol dependency problem, or you're an alcoholic and you withdraw from alcohol, you go cold turkey, that can have serious consequences. So the body can actually go into alcoholic seizure. So the body can actually go into shock. And that's dangerous. That's a dangerous position to put the body into. Now, although obviously alcohol consumption is quite an extreme thing, but the same thing can apply to the body. Can become dependent on caffeine. The body can become dependent on sugar, on carbs, cigarettes. All these things the body becomes dependent on. So although they are may not be as severe a dependency as somebody who maybe has a daily alcohol problem, it can cause the same degree of overwhelm if you combine a couple of those habits all together. So if you then withdraw from all those things all in one go, that could potentially put the body into shock, and that's not what we want to do. So it's really important, as well as get you to get mentally overwhelmed and revert back to old habits, and that means all the efforts that you've put in to date has been completely in vain. So it's really important to tackle them in stages and tackle them responsibly, and that's something I teach you inside my program. So this next slide is a follow-on from the alcohol thing. Now, I know lots of you will know people, or maybe you've engaged in it yourself, the January Triathlon. Now, in hindsight, it's a good idea. Okay, the principles behind it is good. Okay, obviously it can only be a good thing to stop having alcohol. But as I've just said before, there's a right way and a wrong way to engaging it. So and I noticed this a lot in January. In fact, last year I actually emailed Cancer Research and pointed out my concerns around this, because nothing on their terms and conditions was there any safety things around, if you think you may have a problem, or if you're consuming alcohol on a daily basis, this program is not this challenge isn't for you. Please consult your GP and get a referral to a specialist, and that is what you should be doing. So this program is great it's absolutely fine for somebody. Let's say somebody doesn't drink all week, but they binge on a weekend, and they don't experience any withdrawal symptoms, any major withdrawal symptoms throughout the week. Well, you're fine to engage in it. What I would say is you're better off finding consuming alcohol more moderately. So instead of binging on a Saturday night, maybe have a bottle of wine and spread it out over the weekend, over the whole weekend, as opposed to binging, because the body doesn't respond well to binging. It can be as dangerous for the body as it is consuming it on a daily basis. But obviously you're not developing that level of same dependency as you are on a daily basis. So that's fine if you want to engage in it for that. For if you're consuming it on a weekend, for example. But if you are somebody who consumes alcohol on a daily basis, I would strongly advise you against engaging in this challenge, because it is dangerous. Yes, I would advise you to start to reduce it down, but you need to do it responsibly. Now, depending on your level of dependency, now if you want a little bit of guidance on this, I don't mind you can message me privately, and I would advise you confidentially if you want a little bit of guidance there. Whether you can withdraw from it safely yourself, or if I feel that it is a major problem, then you are best going to your GP and getting a referral to a alcohol specialist that can support you, give you the level of support that you need to become alcohol free. Because be under no illusions here. If you have a strong dependency, a major dependency to alcohol, you can't ever touch alcohol again, because you have that ability then to go back to the way you were. I've coached many people with an alcohol dependency over the years. So and I've coordinated with counsellors out of Phoenix Futures. So I do kind of know what I'm talking about here. And there's lots of people that genuinely don't think that they have a problem. But if they are consuming alcohol on a daily basis, that is a problem. And they aren't my words. They are the words of an alcohol counsellor within Phoenix Futures. So it's really important to be honest with yourself. So the only person you're lying to, if you say no, it's not a problem, is yourself. That's the only person who's suffering. So it is really, really important to be really honest with yourself. And if you think it is a problem, seek the right advice and really look into the right withdrawal process and get it under control. The next mistake people make is, and this is the final one, is they consume too much fruit. Now you're probably thinking that, well, how can that be, Kate? Yes, fruit's absolutely healthy for you, of course it is. But fruit is still a natural sugar. It's just a natural producing sugar. So although it's a good sugar, it is still sugar. So if you, let's say, where this is highlighted more is when people are engaging in juicing programs. They will generally they'll generally make their drinks very fruit concentrated. There'll be more fruit in it than there will be vegetables, where it is supposed to be the other way around. So what they end up doing is they end up consuming their daily allowance of sugar just in fruit in one drink. I know somebody who actually refers to it as a sugar bomb. These fruit only juices and smoothies, they are sugar bombs. And what you're doing is you're spiking your insulin levels right in one hit, and that's not good from an inflammatory perspective. It's not good from a fat storing perspective. So you need to be mindful of how you are consuming your fruit. So let's say you have three portions of fruit a day. You wouldn't have those 3 portions all in one go. You would stagger them throughout the day. That's fine. 3 portions is fine. It's depending, different fruits and depending on their weights have different levels of the amounts of sugar in them. So again, that's something else you need to be mindful of. But 3, generally, as a rule of thumb, 3 portions of fruit. Let's say it's a 1 banana, 1 apple, and I don't know, a peach, and you stagger those throughout the day. that's you can live with that. That's even if you go slightly over your daily allowance and you've got a couple of other things in there that's, you know, within your daily meals. You can live with that. But if you have juice, if you, let's say you juice 3 apples or 3 oranges, that's just too much. It's far too much all in one hit. In fact, I used to have a client who was a diabetes, NHS diabetes dietitian, and that was, again, that will be a massive no-no, particularly for somebody. It's a no-no for anybody, but particularly if you're a diabetic, you do not want to be hammering your insulin levels all in one hit like that at all. That can be very, very dangerous for a diabetic. So just be mindful of how you're consuming your fruit. And of course, the other thing you've got to be mindful of as well is I'm saying 3 portions for an adult. That will be even less for a child. So because their sugar allowance for the day is a lot lower depending on their age. So for example, my daughter's 17 months old, and so they're allowed about 14 grams a day. So you can see, whereas an adult is about 35 grams a day. So it is half the amount. So you've got to be mindful of how much sugar you're consuming within your fruit. Okay, and don't consume it all in one go. Good health really is a big jigsaw puzzle, which is why I developed the Get Healthy Bootcamp to help teach you the building blocks of healthy living. The Get Healthy Bootcamp is an online program designed to guide you through a series of structured and controlled challenges, all aimed at helping you achieve your ultimate health goals and, more importantly, sustain lasting results. In the Get Healthy Bootcamp, you'll get 7 structured and controlled challenges, a selection of resources and tools to help you in making better choices during each challenge. You'll get an 18-week habit creating tool, which is what you see pictured here. And this is you've got 2 sets of challenges here, habits that you're going to be developing here. You've got the habits that you'll be developing through the various challenges that I'll be setting throughout the whole 21 week program. And then you've also got the habits that you'll be developing within the habit creating tool as well. You also get video tutorials that they're aimed at helping you to get the body working smarter and understand why certain diet and lifestyle factors are going to hinder the body so negatively. You get a weekly Q&A session. So if you have any questions at all, you've got that session there to fire any questions you have. You've got an accountability group to keep you motivated and inspired to keep going, because there are going to be times that you are going to find it difficult, which is what causes most people to give up on any healthy routine. But it's important to keep going, because if you don't keep going, all your hard work and all your efforts are completely in vain otherwise. So consistency is key. So this accountability group will help keep you motivated to keep going. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you free instant access to the first challenge, which lasts for 7 days. And this is where we're going to start to regulate the insulin levels and start to reduce the level of inflammation that's being caused on the body. So inside the program, you'll hear me talking a lot about inflammation, reducing oxidative stress. So everything that we are doing around all the new habits that we're going to be developing around diet and lifestyle is all aimed at reducing that workload on the body, reducing the inflammation and reducing oxidative stress, so that the immune system can fire on all cylinders and fully focus on keeping us fit and healthy, which is our primary goal here. And if your goal is fat loss, or you want to build muscle or tone muscle, then you'll also understand how to give the body the right level of nutrients to make that happen, and achieve that goal, and sustain lasting results as well, which is more important. Because one thing, achieving the results, but unless you know how to adjust your nutritional intake accordingly once you've achieved your goal, then you will end up back at square one, which is the biggest problem with people, as I said, as I've said before in other videos. So to sign up to the challenge, just click the link in the video or in the post, and I look forward to seeing you over there.